Picture this. You've had a perfectly fine day. Nothing crazy. You finally lay down to rest, take a deep breath, and close your eyes. But instead of drifting off to a peaceful sleep, bam! Your mind suddenly drags you backwards. It pulls you into past mistakes, future worries, or just this deep, heavy sense of inadequacy. We have literally all been there, right? Have you ever noticed how incredibly easy it is to just spiral into these negative loops? Honestly, you might feel like your brain is actively working against you, like it's trying to sabotage your peace. But, and here is a massive paradigm shift for you, your brain isn't actually trying to hurt you. In its own kind of beautifully misguided way, it is actually just trying to protect you.
Okay, let's dive into this. We call this the negative thinking paradox.
Now, we are constantly bombarded with society telling us to just think positive. And let's be real, forcing that positivity, it is exhausting. But the psychological reality is actually fascinating. Negative thinking isn't just some bad habit you can't shake. It's actually driven by hidden internal mechanisms where your brain uses negativity to seek out safety, predictability, and control. So let's break down exactly how this happens through 5 key psychological reasons.
Reason number 1, worry as fake control. See, the human brain is essentially a giant prediction machine, and it absolutely despises uncertainty. It hates it. So what does it do? It uses worry as a mental shield against the unknown. Think about it. When you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., mentally rehearsing problems or dreaming up these imaginary future disasters, it actually feels like you're preparing yourself for the worst. But psychology shows us this is a total illusion. It's just a false attempt at gaining control.
Your mind subconsciously believes that if it just replays a threat in an endless loop enough times, it can somehow magically prevent that bad thing from happening. You think you're preventing a disaster, but you're really just spinning your wheels in this exhausting loop of checking and rechecking.
Moving on to reason number 2, silence and suppressed thoughts.
Have you ever wondered why these negative loops always seem to ambush us at the worst possible times? Specifically, right when all the daytime distractions finally stop. Well, step 1, your daytime busyness acts as a really heavy filter. You've got your phone, your work, conversations, just constant environmental noise keeping you productive and keeping those deeper emotions pushed down. But then, step 2, that external stimulation completely drops the second you lay in bed. And step 3, without that noise, those unprocessed thoughts and suppressed emotions suddenly rise right to the surface.
And this brings us to a really surprising fact. You aren't suddenly overthinking more at night. You are simply, finally, hearing your thoughts. Your brain was actually editing out these negative patterns all day long just to keep you functioning. When the volume of the outside world goes down, the volume of your internal mind just shoots up.
Reason number 3, mistakes becoming your identity. Look at it this way. When a healthy mindset encounters a stumble, it says, "I made a mistake." It views it as a temporary failure. But a highly self-critical brain processes this entirely differently. It tells you, "I am a mistake." It literally takes a temporary behavior and aggressively attaches it directly to a permanent identity.
And once that negative identity is formed, it's wild, but the brain wants its existing self-image to be right. So it actively rejects any unmatching incoming information. It'll completely dismiss your compliments. It downplays your successes. Instead, it constantly scans the world for evidence that confirms its own terrible self-view. It ends up creating this highly addictive cycle of constant comparison and literally impossible standards.
Which leads perfectly into reason number 4, the comfort of discomfort.
This is defined as preferring a highly predictable struggle over an unknown, uncertain opportunity. If you spent years dealing with stress, failure, or worry, those heavy negative emotional states actually become your comfortable baseline. You know exactly how to survive in that painful environment. It's weirdly comforting because it's familiar.
And that brings us to a massive psychological paradox. Your brain might actually resist positive thinking and change. Why? Because the uncertainty of a better, happier life actually feels emotionally riskier. I mean, to your brain, an unknown, happy future is way more terrifying than the agonizing struggle it already knows perfectly well. It essentially chooses the devil it knows.
Finally, reason number 5, the survival mode loop. After years of grinding away, stressing about bills and just your daily responsibilities, survival becomes the brain's exclusive priority. Next, this mentally depleted mind begins to experience massive cognitive overload. And finally, because of that overload, your focus is forced entirely onto immediate threats and danger. This state of chronic exhaustion literally, physically prevents your brain from engaging in any sort of long-term strategic growth or positive, hopeful planning.
Basically, your brain is just too exhausted to think bigger or see opportunities for change. This cognitive overload trains your brain to zero in exclusively on what is going wrong right now. It drops all those grand visions of the future, simply because it is utterly consumed with just surviving the next 5 minutes.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Breaking the cycle.
Now, everything we've just covered throughout this explainer paints a pretty tough picture. But breaking free isn't about forcing yourself to be completely positive all the time. First, you have to stop expecting perfection from yourself. Instead, recognize the shield. True growth and peace begin when you finally recognize that these negative loops are just your mind's misguided way of keeping you safe. It's not some inherent personal failing. Once you see the shield for what it actually is, you can start taking absolute ownership of your mental habits.
So, I want to leave you with this final, vital question. Are you letting your survival patterns make excuses for you? It's completely natural that your brain form these habits to protect you, but you definitely don't have to stay stuck in them. Stop overlooking these hidden patterns. Challenge them, take back control, and step out of that familiar discomfort. If you want to keep exploring the hidden psychology behind our everyday behaviors, make sure to subscribe for more insights. Because once you understand the small things that shape your mind, absolutely everything begins to change.